back to our 5th episode of the Launch Your Farm Show, where I interview Jennie Wolek with Keller Williams in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Jennie and I discuss how she went from serving food to serving her customers in real estate. Jennie shares her insights that she's learned over the years and how she's constantly learned from her failures to grow an incredibly rewarding business that's in alignment with her passions and match her personality. In this episode, Jennie and I talk about how the right mindset can double your business, and the wrong mindset could cost you your career. We also talk about why your database is the most important part of your business and how to grow a sustainable database in your farm. Jennie shares how she had an aha moment when she realized that she could build a business that matched her personality and her interests. We also talk about why getting your clients to help you grow your business is more valuable than any paid advertising. She also shares a super easy script that gets referrals from people who didn't even choose to work with you. And we also talk about how putting systems in place can help you scale your business to any size you want. Plus, we share a ton of other great ideas that you can implement in your business today. So be sure to check out this episode, like and subscribe, share with any real estate agents you know that would appreciate this, and enjoy the episode with Jennie. All right, so you're joining us on the Launch Your Farm show. Today we've got a great guest. It's Jennie Wolek from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Jennie, why don't you take a second, tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about your business.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share. I am Jennie Wolek. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the middle of America, and I have been in real estate for 19 years now. And, over the years, I've learned a lot. I've failed a lot. And I have a small team here in Tulsa. We last year helped 145 families.
Wow.
This year, we've stayed busy and stayed essential and stayed in production. And therefore, already this year, we're mid-July and we have helped over 105 families so far, pended and closed. And so I think that has a lot to do with us shifting fast.
Yep.
And keeping a real positive mindset and working to help more families this year, staying on goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to share a bit of a backstory of how I met you. I was at our national convention family reunion. So people aren't from Keller Williams, so they know that was earlier this year. And you were on a panel and you were talking about some of the systems you use and how you've really grown your business. So I want to kind of dive into that. So before I do that, why don't we talk about how you got started? You said 19 years ago. What did your business look like when you got started, and how has that kind of grown over the years?
Well, gosh, 19 years, that's a long story. So I will really do my best to condense it for you. I got into real estate in 2001 in a college town. I was living in Norman, Oklahoma. I'd finished up school. I'd gotten my master's degree. I was actually working in payroll and benefits for a small startup company. And wow, I was miserable. I sat at a cubicle with a lot of responsibility, and the people would yell at me all the time because either their payroll, their paychecks were messed up, or they didn't understand their benefits. And so I got to quickly discover that wasn't my passion. And the thing is, though, is I'd always waited tables all the way through college, and I loved it. And I loved that I was really paid in direct proportion to the service that I provided. Now, there are the bad tippers out there that just exist. However, I ran into, while I was still waiting tables, even with my full-time job, I ran into a high school friend, and he said, "Jennie, I just got into real estate. You need to buy a house." He was definitely a high D driver. He was not afraid of asking for the business.
Yeah.
And I said, "Scott, I can't buy a house. I don't have any money." And he said, "Well, then you should get into real estate with me. A girl in my office last month, she made $10,000. And he didn't tell me the rest of the story. That's all she had made for the whole year, probably. And so really just being lured by that idea. I think so many agents are lured by the idea of real estate because of the flexibility and the freedom and all of that. And they think they're going to have this huge financial windfall. Yeah. And then you quickly learn that that is so false. You actually don't have any flexibility or freedom, and it takes a while to get the financial income coming in. And so, the one thing that helped me early on was that I worked with this very small brokerage. Actually, what's crazy is this small brokerage is smaller than what my team looks like now.
Wow.
That's crazy. So weird. And so, but what I learned about me and the business back then was that because I'd been working a full-time job, with, out of college, I was showing up and used to working a full 9 to 5 day.
Yeah.
And when I moved into real estate, I kept that same routine. I got up and I went to work all day long. And my broker at the time noticed that I had this show up and learn and, growth mindset. And so he just kept bringing me along. And so soon before I knew it, he gave me opportunity to be the operations manager of the brokerage. I got to learn property management that he needed help with. We later on went on to acquire a local Century 21. So I got to learn about mergers and acquisitions all in my very young days of real estate.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful for that time, because I think so many agents, they get so lost in how to be successful. And for me, it was just a go for it, show up and do it, follow around the people that are doing it, listen and shadow. And that's how we bring on agents onto our team now, is we see the value of them getting into action fast.
Yeah.
So their 30, 60, 90s is filled with shadowing, listening, learning, and training so that they can hear how they need to sound, because so many of us don't have that confidence early on. Yeah. So all that said, I made my way back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, my hometown, in 2004. I did not sign up with Keller Williams until years later. Once I did, though, that was it. I mean, ever since those days of first reading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent and applying that book to my life and my business, once I started doing that, I realized here at our company, we're an open book company, so we can see everyone's production. And when I realized that, and I could see other people's numbers, and I remember this girl in my office, she made $100,000 in a year. And that blew my mind. And then I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Yep. And then I would see other lead top great mega agents in my city that weren't even nice to people. So I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And then in 2010 was really when the biggest changes happened for me, because in October of 2010, I took my first Bold. And Bold back then was a 8-week training class. And what it did for me was not only arm me with the skills, the accountability, the scripts, and what it did most for me was help me with my mindset. So many real estate agents, I'm sure there are some that are just like me, where the thought of calling somebody you know or don't know just made you want to vomit, because it did for me. It really did for me. And then all I had to do was change my thinking from, I'm not bugging them, I'm really good at helping people. And so when I would feed my mind and start my affirmations with, I am great at helping people, how many people do I get to help today? That really changed everything for me. So I went from 23 units as a solo agent in 2010 to 51 units all by myself the next year. And then year after that, continued to have growth, adding on 10 plus units every year. Wow. To where now I started growing a team out of necessity. I couldn't do it all myself. And so that's why I'm so blessed to have amazing agents that work with me now, and great admin as well.
That's awesome. And like you said, the mindset is so critical to this, and it's so critical in that it holds more people back than technical skills. It holds more people back than not having the right knowledge, and just the right mindset can make that shift. And when you said you doubled your business in the year, it's not that you got twice as good at selling real estate, or you grew your database twice as good. As you had that shift in mindset, and that helped you then change probably how you saw the entire business and how you saw yourself and how you saw your clients, and really helped you re-look at the business, I'm sure.
100%. You got it right. I don't need to add anything to that. You nailed it.
Good. As the last interview I did, we were talking about that, and we were talking about coming from contribution. And a lot of people, I find, especially agents who may not be doing a lot of business, is they feel that they don't have enough value, and they look at it as it's just a transaction, and they feel that way. So like, if they feel that way, their clients are going to feel that way, and they're going to feel that they don't have anything to offer other than, I'm just going to do the deal, and someone else can do it better than me. And you really have to come from, how can I help these people, and truly believe that I'm going to help them. So for you, what does that look like, and how did that shift look like when you started having that mental change to really grow it and double it?
When I really had the biggest change in my business, and it was in my days of growing and building a team, I had lots of failures, lots of fail forwards, with whether it was with our systems and our business, or whether it was with team members and me not properly training them or holding them accountable, or even properly bringing them through the process.
Yeah.
All of those failures I take ownership for, and I continue to learn and grow. So I've had a business coach, a MAPS coach, since 2011. I've never been without a coach. And so that's going to always be my first suggestion for anyone, is don't go at this alone. It is an investment in your future that you continue to get insight and input from somebody who is a partner in your business, and they care about your success and your goals. They don't make you do something that you don't believe in or don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it would be that. It would also be that I got real clear on who I am, because I told you the early days of Bold, and back then you called for sale by owners and expireds.
Yeah.
That's not my behavioral style. And so those were the calls that I'd rather vomit than pick up the phone to call them. And I could convince myself sometimes that I'm just helping them, I'm a good helper, and I'd pump myself up. And then one time I had a coach that said, Jennie, listen, if you just nail the database and you're hitting your numbers where you do rock, where you are comfortable, then you don't have to call the for sale by owners and expireds. And I was like, are you serious? Wait a minute. You just gave me the best news I've ever heard. And I don't think I had really understood that back then. I thought, oh, well, okay, I can have my database. That's great. And then I have to go to these extremes in places. So what I always say to agents is, first off, know who you are. Have you taken your DISC assessment? Have you been through the KPA, the career visioning process? Someone's taken you through it. Because when you know your strengths, that's the business you work.
Yeah.
Now, there are those of you guys out there, and bless you, that you love being that prospector.
Yep.
You love the thrill of the chase and the hunt. That's not me. And I think a lot of agents are kind of like me, that they love relationships. So how can we just up how many relationships we have? How can we just love on people who already know us, like us, and trust us more? How can we capture more of them so that when we grow our database, we grow our business, we get to help more families, we get to give back to the community, we get to do what we love.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now with our culture on our team. We're a culture of productivity, and we're a culture of giving, and that's
awesome.
who we are.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that you should work a business that matches your personality style. And I've always told people, like, the great thing about this business is there's 101 ways to do the business. And it's a bad thing because sometimes people will chase down a rabbit hole of a way to do business that doesn't really jive with how they do business. And then they feel that it's tougher than the business is tougher than it really is. They get kind of discouraged. And it's like, if they just found the right approach for them, they could really excel. So for you, we're talking about farming, but your approach is, like you said, is about the database and about the relationships and about building that community. So let's talk about what that looks like for you, and how you're creating an environment within your database to really give back. Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, over the past few years, we had started implementing in-person client events. Remember, before March of this year, we used to do that. And so we were, I am a person that's very systemized, and I like creating, as my coach calls it, I like creating a plan and then running the play.
Right.
And so for us, that means at the beginning of the year, we map it out, and then we don't have to think of, oh crap, what are we going to do with our clients this month? It's already planned out. And so I did leverage marketing to a local girl who had been on our team as an assistant, and then she grew her own marketing business.
Nice.
And so that is how we leverage off our marketing, where she helps with all the client events, all the social posts, so that it's just all taken care of.
Yeah.
And so she, being a person, a business-minded person, and a high D as well, we're able to map it out, we plan it. So we would do all these data, we do these client events. Well, once you do the kind of client event like everyone has heard of and done, a Pie Day.
Yeah.
So that's where you host a day. We do ours the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We say we've got 200 pies to give away. You must RSVP, come and get your pie. We've got cider, we've got cookies, and we're going to get in some hugs and some high fives. We always attach a way of giving back to the community to the event, because I found that people sometimes, they love the idea or they want to see you and they care about you, but they're not takers. So they don't want to take a pie. Right. So if we give them an opportunity to bring canned food and we're going to make a donation to the food bank for you, that makes them feel warm and fuzzy. So they show up for a $7 Costco pie.
That's great. That's awesome.
So with that though, that was our first event. And I said 200 pies, but our first event was 30 pies. So we created the plan around a small group. And then we just grew it every year because now we know how to run the play. And then you can apply that same system to a different event. So then we did one called on March 14th, Pie Day, P-I Day. We gave away pizza pies. And then this last year, Pie Day happened to fall on the weekend. So we just easily tweaked it and moved it up to be a Valentine's date night. So again, it's the same play. It's a come and grab your pizza and a 6-pack of beer and have a date night with your Valentine.
That's awesome.
It's the same play. And so this is where I share with you guys, it's the running the play based on the plan of consistent systems. And every single event of those has all kinds of touches around it. It's going out to our database by a video email, a save the date, then a video email of don't forget, sign up, here's the Eventbrite link. Then a video email where we promote and share our sponsor. So we have, our lender partner sponsor or a title company sponsor or insurance agent sponsor. And I do a video with them to promote their business. So that goes out as another touch to our database and put on social media and shared. And then I shared with you that we always attach a nonprofit. So, imagine I'm going to promote that nonprofit through a video with the executive director. What do you guys do to make Tulsa an amazing place? What can we do to help you out? And so, right there are 5 different video emails and content touches that you do in the 2 to 3 weeks before the event. And if you just run that same thing 5 times a year, how are you coming across? You're coming across as a team that loves to give back, that loves to support your local businesses, that loves to love on your people, that loves to have fun. And that's the culture that we want to share with people. And that's what's really helped us over the years, help us have, more than half of our business coming from our database because they want to be a part of that.
That's great. And I find that a lot of agents get hung up on not having the right value. And like you said, those are 5 points that anyone in their right mind is going to enjoy getting those touches. It's not a pushy bullcrap salesy touch from people, and they're going to respect that and appreciate that. And if they want to work with you and they get you, they're going to appreciate that from you as well. And like you mentioned, is having it planned out. One of the things that before I started this whole thing, I did a survey and interviewed a few hundred agents about their struggles with farming and what was holding them back, and the agents that had farmed. And one of the biggest 3 things was not having a plan, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't have it all organized. And the people that hadn't started were afraid because they didn't know how to do it. And the people that didn't succeed at it said they didn't have a plan. And you said you planned it for the year. You don't have to think about it. You're trying to fly by the seat of your pants with this stuff. It's easy to have a month go by and then something disappears and then another thing goes by. And when you create it and you sit down at the beginning of the year and you can lay that out, you can really create a plan that you can stick with, and it takes away the anxiety around having, what do I do? How do I do this? And then, like you said, you can start small and build on it. And that's a huge part.
Starting small is key, because I think us realtors, we know that it's important to do these things.
Yes.
And we don't have the time because we're in the business of helping that buyer or seller with repair negotiations that are bad, with a low appraisal. We're in the business that we can't work on the business. So a way to do it is, at least for me, is I just put something on the calendar into the future, and then I make it. I tell people about it. People know about it. So I then make it happen somehow. When I first got into real estate, I took a class back. Do you remember GRI, Graduate Realtor Institute? It was a designation you could take. Well, it's
in
like
Canada, I think might not be a Canadian thing. So
yeah. Well, it was just a training class of how to do real estate.
Okay.
And it was awesome because I remember this one instructor, she said, you have 12 months in a year, and there is a holiday of some sort in each month.
Yeah.
There's your theme.
Yeah.
You don't have to create the theme. And then you send that postcard. It's a touch. So nowadays we've moved away from necessarily postcards in the mail, but I still believe it's a valuable touch. Yeah. We still send postcards to our people in the mail. Yeah. One thing I want to add in and go a little deeper on, Ryan, is that we realized a few years ago that, I don't know if it came from me reading Monster Loyalty or hearing Gary Keller talk about this membership economy where you really want to know your core advocates, your 1%ers, like who are your raving fans?
Yeah.
And we need to know who those people are, and they need to be treated differently. And so that's where we came up with our VIP program, which we call our rock stars. Yeah. And so you would get tagged and categorized as a rock star if you shared a referral with us. We think you rock. So you get an email, then we tell you how awesome you are. You're going to get invited to our closed Facebook group that's just for agents, that's just for rock stars. You're going to get some exclusive giveaways and exclusive events that not the whole database is involved in. And I'll be really honest and vulnerable and transparent on this. It hadn't been a top priority by our marketing or by our team, because they were working on all these other things, that this Facebook group has just been sitting there and it's not getting the love or engagement that it needs. Yep. And so brainstorming through it, because what I realized, I had this aha. We were trying to, love on this tiny group of people. Well, wouldn't you get more engagement and more referrals and have more fun if there were more of them?
Right.
So now we're about to relaunch. I'll share all the marketing pieces and the systems that we are about to launch. I have a closed Facebook group that's just for real estate agents. Awesome. It's called Your Journey with Jennie. And so I'll share that as soon as we get it, but we're going to do a whole relaunch to our rock stars and include past clients.
Nice.
So that way we have more people, and it's going to be more purposeful. So this is a going from E to P. We have been very entrepreneurial with that group of people when they should be really the top of our focus. And we're going to go to purposeful. So we have a whole new plan and system to love on them. So that's who you want to focus on, the ones that are your cheerleaders and your raving fans.
And it's true, because a lot of people will chase a new lead or try to chase new business because for some people that's exciting and they want to get that new lead, and they're leaving money on the table, leaving relationships on the table, they're leaving easier business by not focusing on their past clients. And again, in my personal experience, I've seen a lot of agents who get hung up. They would rather call a cold lead because there's no attachment to them versus calling a client or someone they've done business with. They're terrified to call someone. They had a great experience. They sold them the house and they're afraid to pick up the phone or send them anything because they're like, well, I don't want to bother them. And it's like, they chose to work with you. They saw something in you. And if they had a good experience, they're more likely to refer you and do business with you than Joe Blow on the street. So being more purposeful is critical, I think, to really get that. So for you, what is that going to look like then as far as adding more value to them? Are you going to continue the same things you were doing, or are you ramping that up as well?
Yeah, we're going to ramp it up. We're going to have inside of that closed group, we're going to have weekly teacher spotlights and, ways to nominate and share and in giveaways and just more fun and more engagement. The thing I want to add is that what also you reminded me of, and now I've lost it. So yeah, that's great.
Well, we can come back to it then.
Okay.
So then other than events, what are things you're doing to provide value to your database then?
So, there it is. I just got it. So what I realized is that as soon as all of this year happened, where we were at home, I had a lot more time on my hands, because before I was maybe traveling, or if we have kids and things and everybody's just at home. So I had more time on my calendar, and so did our team. And so we hopped right into the database and the care calls.
Nice.
And what we realized is that, and we're still continuing with those. We're still just calling to check in. We're calling to say, how you doing? Making sure you're staying safe and healthy. So that was real valuable. And then the other thing that I have had more time to do was something that was always on my calendar, and I just was not getting to it, was that I had a goal of doing a video once a week with either a local business owner or a restaurant or a nonprofit. And I have a Facebook page called Tulsa Looks Good on You. And on that, the whole purpose of that page is just to promote all the awesomeness that Tulsa has going on, and all the cool people and the events and the things.
Yeah.
And that was just sitting there, not getting the love or attention that it needed. And I'm like, oh, wait, I've already got a page. Let's just go interview. So just like, here we are side by side in gallery view on Zoom. I just started hitting up local businesses, nonprofits, and restaurants. And I said, hey, I would love to promote you and share how you're adjusting during these new days. Will you hop on Zoom with me for 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll do a recording and I'll post it. I'll share it with our database. I'll put it on social media, and hopefully you can get some more business. And everyone said yes, not surprisingly. And so what I realized, though, is that I did a few of those, and I was already noticing some of the inefficiencies. So immediately I had to create a system around it. So I just used Calendly. If you've heard of calendly.com, there's a free version, and you set up your calendar of when you're available. And then when somebody signs up to sign up for a time with you, you can put in some rules. So the rules that I put in were their name, their phone number, their email, and their physical address.
Nice.
So what have I just done?
Got their information for your database.
Yeah. So that was my version of how I lead generate for my team, is I'm building the database.
Yeah.
So I'm building the database with other business professionals or CEOs or nonprofits in our community. So that was a really fun way for me to stay connected, show that we're connected, and give back to the community. And it's just been so fun to do that. Now, the other thing I got to add is, I just know from all these years and reading that red book that you've got to build your database.
Yeah.
And so the way we've been doing that over the past few months is by doing a reverse bold 100. If you've heard of a reverse bold 100, many of you have not. So I'll just give you a quick snapshot of what it is. You have a day that you are going to have a goal of 100 people calling you that you get to have a conversation with. And what you have to do, though, in order to get people to call in on that day in that certain time period, is that you have to have a giveaway, something that's exciting and would encourage people to want to call in and talk to you. And then we've learned that we failed at it a few times early on. We've done 4 of them now. And so we just this last time got over 100. We got 111 call-ins for a medium-sized big green egg. So those are very popular if you want to have a giveaway. And we needed a couple weeks of promotion time.
Yep.
Created a Facebook event. It went out in video email to our database a few times, like the touches that I shared earlier.
Yep.
And then the fun about it is that we're emailing it to all of our database, which includes some unmets.
Right.
Now, what's been fun to watch is that these unmets, maybe all we have is their email address, and they were an old web lead or some person that somehow they were in our database. Well, when they call into us on that day, we as a team have a Google form pulled up. We were all on Zoom together whenever we're taking calls, and we fill out the Google form. Well, the Google form just says, hey, Ryan, I'm so excited you're calling in to enter to win this contest. Let me just confirm your contact information real quick. What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your address? What's your email? Perfect. Oh, and by the way, if you can think of somebody else who may need to buy or sell a house that we can reach out to, I can put you in the drawing twice. Can you think of anybody?
That's great.
So we've gathered data that we may have had gaps in, and then we're getting referrals.
Yeah.
And so it's so fun because now this is exactly what has happened. I go back and I'll look at who is that person and where did they come from? An old web lead we'd never connected with. Now we have all 4 pieces of their contact info and they've shared a referral with us. So now
That's great.
now they're going to be tagged as a rock star because they gave us a referral. So how much more love are they instantly getting from us?
And the fact they put their hand up and
Yeah.
reached out means they're further along the pipeline than someone who just ignores the email or isn't getting it. So now you can start already weeding out the database of people that you
Yeah.
may have not had contact with, and you're moving them along the pipeline, which is fantastic.
I mean, one I'll share with you, it makes me laugh. One girl called in and she referred a friend. When I look at her notes in our database,
Yeah.
she'd actually bought a house with somebody else and didn't even use us. But because we asked and did a double entry in a contest, she gave up a friend's information.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And again, you're purposeful, you had a system behind it, and you follow that and stuck with it, and it works. I want to go back to the conversation about local businesses, because in my opinion, I think that's one of the most underutilized opportunities for a lot of agents. And there's an agent I was talking to about a month or so ago, and she'd said that she doesn't think that she's going to be able to farm because of COVID, and who's going to want to farm nowadays. And I said, I think businesses is absolute prime opportunity for people to be farming right now because of everything that's happened, to be able to support local businesses. The community is aware, and the people are now a lot more observant to what's happening with local businesses. And there's a lot more, in my opinion, there's a lot more people that care about supporting local businesses. And if you can be that person who takes charge and become that keeper of local businesses and help them, you have an opportunity to really just skyrocket through. Those businesses are going to support you. The community is going to support you because you're supporting those local businesses. So for you, what does that look like for you going forward in the future? Of how are you going to, other than the videos, what is it going to look like for you supporting businesses?
Well, believe it or not, I already had a system on this before the past few months, and I called it our preferred service partners.
Okay.
And I'd kind of heard the idea and the system of this when I took ESO, expansion systems operations, years ago, years ago. It might have been 3.5, 4 years ago. And even though I still haven't expanded my business outside of Tulsa, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And what I learned was this system of what they call it's a B2B system, a business to business. So what they taught, and I don't think it ever got taught again. Kristen Cole had taught in Austin. I took great notes on that, and I applied it instantly when I got home. So what it taught me was, you have your scripts. I have this all saved, and I'm willing to share this with anybody. You have your scripts, you have your system, and basically you call up and meet or have warm leads of friends who own businesses in town.
Yep.
And you say, hey, Ryan, it's Jennie with Keller Williams Realty. Sally Sue said you were amazing at landscaping, and I sell houses, and so I always come across people who may need help with that. Are you growing your business right now? Are you looking for referrals? Always the answer is yes. And so what I would love to do, because part of our mission on our team is to give back to the community and support local businesses. In the old days, I'd love to come out and shoot a video with you where I can just interview you. It's not going to be, more than 3 to 5 minutes. You can just share what it is you guys do and how you help people. And are you up for that? And they're like, yeah. What does it cost? Actually, it doesn't cost anything. I just ask that, we're going to put it on our social media sites. It's going to go out to our database. It's going to be shared with all of our buyers and seller clients. We have an app. It's called Homekeeper. You're going to be on there so that people can find you in our service providers list. And honestly, all that we ask is that when you hear of somebody who may need to buy or sell a house in the next year, that you think of us and pass our name along. Could you do that? And they're like, yes. And so to be really honest, again, this is one of those, it's an amazing system. And sometimes as a person, I will admit this, I'm a really good coach and an idea implementer, and I'm not always the best at follow through so our team really did. I had a human on the team that this was their job, to set up these appointments for me. I'd go out, I'd shoot videos. The businesses would sign a covenant that says that they'll share a referral with us. And I look back on it and I'm so terrible at not tracking the results, but I know I can think of, a handful of people that have shared referrals with us.
Yeah.
I mean, one girl was a cleaning lady, a cleaning lady. She had a housekeeping business.
Yep.
She ended up being my own housekeeper because I thought she was so great. And she has since referred two people to us. And then she just got married and bought a house with us. So because I had that conversation with local businesses, they're in our database, they're out in the field, and eventually they're going to share you with other people. So that's,
Yeah.
I love doing.
It's fantastic. And like I said, I think it's one of the most underutilized resources. And I think people don't get that you're going to get in front of their database. So instead of trying to individually chase individual people, you can get in front of a business who can potentially get you in front of 50, 100, 500, depending on what the size of their business is, new people. And if they're the right person and they're the right fit and they're a rock star, they're going to be able to refer you more than just chasing after one lead or one person that you don't know anything about. So that's a great
So in continuing with that, it's a part of our business plan to grow that. And so a way to add extra value to those people is I have a closed Facebook group. I call it BOSS, Business Owners Sharing Strategies.
Nice.
And so last year we did quarterly happy hour events where people could sign up on Eventbrite, show up, and we just would chit chat. I, kind of had the agenda of go around the room and just share with everybody who you are, what you're really good at, what your strengths are,
yeah.
and what you have challenges with that somebody else could help you. And then with that format, people really got to engage. It wasn't about me. It was just about them learning and growing. And so I built out my calendar this year with those. And of course they got canceled. And then I'm like, why am I just not doing these on Zoom?
Yeah.
So I set one up for in the next month or so where I'm going to teach a class. I'm going to teach a class on DISC.
Nice.
Everybody can benefit from learning behavioral style and understanding how to better communicate and build rapport with clients or your friends or family. So that's how I'm giving back and adding value to local businesses. Because here at our company, we are so fortunate to have the training, the tools, the teachings that we just take for granted.
Yeah.
All of the things that we learn at Keller Williams could be applied to other businesses.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
And they just think we're so amazing. And I'm like, I just read a book. I just did what the book told me.
Yeah.
They just don't have that book.
Yeah. That's awesome. You've given so many good nuggets, which is awesome. And again, they're all applicable takeaway things. One thing that I want to talk about as we start wrapping up is you have a real big push on agent to agent referrals, and farming can be geographically based. Farming for a lot of people is geographically based, but we talked about it before we started. Farming really is focusing on people and focusing on a group of people to get business. For you, real estate agents are a big part of it. So can you share what that looks like for you and how you've grown your business that way and how that's grown your business?
Yeah, so the backstory of agent-to-agent referrals for me started when I got into real estate in Norman, Oklahoma. I told you we acquired a Century 21 franchise, and that being a national company, if you wanted to receive relocation referrals, you must give them.
Okay.
So I was trained early on to think of agent-to-agent referrals and client referrals outside of my local market in my very early days. So when I decided to move back from Norman to Tulsa, which is a little less than 2 hours away, still very transient in location, Norman is a suburb of Oklahoma City. Okay. So I kept all of my agent friends that were in Norman in my database.
Yeah.
And this is back in 2004. This is before Facebook. This is really before, email and cell phones. Seriously, I had a picture in my early days. Don't even. And so I sent them a letter with my business card. Hi, it's Jennie. I've moved to Tulsa. I'd love to be your resource for any clients that are heading this way or need help. And I'll tell you, I received so many referrals early on from agents in another city. Yeah. So I was like, I'm onto something here. I'm going to keep this up. So as I started traveling for Keller Williams events, in 2009 was my first. I've never missed any mega camp or family reunion or masterminds, whatever. I am always going to go and learn. And I have a system. I would get their card, put them in my database, send them a handwritten note, make sure that they go into my email touch campaigns. And so the other kicker that came into play, Ryan, was when in 2015, I had a lot of change up in my team, and I got back into full-on production, me as the buyer agent and the listing agent, all at the same exact time. And so I just said to myself, okay, this was at the beginning of 2015. It was March, and I was obviously going to not hit my goal for the year because now it's just me. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? Oh, well, I'll take bold, because at that point I already taken it 5 or 6 times and I knew the value of it, but it wasn't offered in my local market. It was offered in Oklahoma City, which is 2 hours away. So I took bold 4 times that year.
Wow.
3 of them in Oklahoma City. And so if you're the only agent from Tulsa in a room of 100 agents in Oklahoma City, guess who gets to be their referral partner? It's me. And so I did that again the next year, where I traveled to Joplin, Missouri and Fayetteville, Arkansas. So I just continued to grow my agent-to-agent database, so much so that I was at a Keller Williams event, and by accident one time, my agent database got thrown into my local database.
Oh.
So agents got all of my local videos. I use viral marketing for my videos and my production and my follow-up. And so I was mortified. It was terrible. Still, if you guys are watching and you're on my local database emails, please unsubscribe. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But what I learned is that agents actually liked it because it gave them ideas what they could do in their market. And so people kept coming up to me, that family reunion, like, I know you, you're Jennie. And I got back and I call up my viral marketing guy and I say, hey, you know how you guys do 2 videos a month for me for my local database? Could you also do that video and video blog website? Could we do that for agent-to-agent referrals? He was like, well, yeah. So therefore, I now, since 2016, have a video blog called Your Journey with Jennie. I have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, where I just offer value and share all the tips and tricks and systems and tools that we use in our business. And I think that has a lot to do with why when people think of Oklahoma, they think of the Wallet Group, because we're adding value and sharing and giving back, delivering an amazing client experience. So therefore they get a paycheck for their referral. And that's how I think we've had lots of success with it. Of course, it's a system. Of course, it's a checklist. We keep the agents involved all the way through. So it's so fun.
So if you want, we can put that in the link so people can check that out. So we'll get you to send the information for that group as well if people are interested in seeing. Because again, I'm a firm believer in that providing value is huge. And again, it's not just to clients. You're going to get business from when you provide it to businesses, when you provide it to other agents, when you provide it to people. When you're coming from contribution, you're going to grow your business. And if you keep yourself so closed off and don't want to share anything, you're coming from a scarcity mindset, and you're not going to grow. So that's awesome that you do that. And you'd mentioned that's a big chunk of your business. How much would you say of your business comes from that?
Last year, it was 30% of our business.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of work to get that up and running. And it's not like you don't have to travel if you don't want. But I mean, like you said, going to those classes definitely helps. It helps your business, but then it also helps your business because you're connecting. I know for myself, I've moved a couple times, and I've started my business over 3 times with real estate. And I was in a place on the other side of the city. It's about 2.5 hours away from here. And I still, to this day, it's been 7 years since I've lived there, and I'm still getting referrals from agents that I've made connections with. And then I've gotten I'm on my third referral so there's an agent that I knew referred me to another new agent. And so she sent me a referral. And then that agent now referred me to another agent who sent me a referral. So it's like 3 degrees of separation, and I've never even met these people, and they're sending referrals because they know me on the other side of the city. So it can definitely be a huge opportunity.
I just would like to wrap up and say this, because I have been in this business so long. Like, I have no plan B. So I just want people to understand that the time and the effort and the energy that it takes to build and love on and nurture your database, pays off, and it takes time sometimes.
Yes.
So that you have to be in it for the long haul. And I always tease and say, you know, I'm the tortoise, not the hare, because you see the hot shots on stage that are, you know, doing that latest, greatest thing, which is super awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to wait and see if they're around next year or the next year, because I truly believe that when you put in the time with the database and the love, and you will reap the rewards from it. It may not be today. This is where, if you're new in the industry, you may need to do open houses if they're safe in your area. You may need to call the uncomfortable calls early on because you haven't earned the right yet to only focus on one section. You need to add in different levels and layers to make sure you're able to financially survive. So I just want to share that it is so important, and you may need to add in some other pieces as well.
So to wrap up then, what would you say would be one thing that people can do right now in the current situation in their own business where they can actually go out, execute, and put into their business and start seeing some business coming in from it?
Oh man, God, that's so hard, because I think I'd say just watch all this video again.
Exactly, pretty much.
Because the things I shared with you is, you know, add value to your current database, add value to your community. And I say do it by implementing video. To me, I don't want you to overthink it, because that will freeze you up and you won't do it. But if you want to go to the Wallet Group on YouTube and look at all the videos, and if you go way down to the bottom from when I first started, they're terrible. So it'll make you feel good about yourself. But when I started adding video to my business, I became a real person. I was able to brag on myself without bragging on myself by saying, it's so cool, we've helped 100 families this year. And, you know, this is when we do that, it allows us to give back. So thank you to you, our clients and our friends. You know, the humble brag is pretty awesome when you do it in a nice, respectful way. But you get to be a real person. Also, the video is so important for us when it comes to the systems inside of our current transactions. We send out a video email for a pre-listing appointment. We send out a video email when we have a new buyer client, and we're just saying, hey, we're so excited to meet with you and discuss the future sale of your home. Here's what you can go ahead and start doing, and we look forward to meeting you. And then we get there and we're a real person. And, you know, it just adds this whole layer of this whole new level of humanity and communication and connection with people.
Well, I have to say, this has been a tremendous amount of value for myself and for the listener. So you've lived your mission saying and carrying forward that value. So I really appreciate that. There's been a lot of great stuff. So if someone can't get something from this video, then they weren't paying attention or aren't alive. So thank you so much. It has been a great episode, and looking forward to sharing that with the audience.
I can't wait. Thanks for letting me do what I love. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for checking out today's episode. If you'd like more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and our other social media channels. Looking forward to bringing you more great content like this, and happy farming.